house, Christoph and Connie.
Yes.
That's right.
How you doing?
Good.
That's the big question of the day, isn't it?
Let's say good in general health regarding, but we wouldn't be here if we would be all good.
Yeah. You want to give me a little background and tell me a little bit about what's going on? Are you able to move a little closer to the audio or bring the...
No, we can do it.
Yeah. Great. Okay, let's see if I can hear you well. That's great. I can see you better too. That's excellent. Thank you.
So, how do we start? Maybe I just tell you how we found you. I mean, I was watching some videos of you on YouTube.
Okay.
There was this one video where you were talking about the 4 different kind of men that exist.
Oh, right.
In the end, I realized, I mean, we were at a point where I said, okay, there's no way anymore we can stay together. And after that video, I was convinced it's true because I realized I have a confused boy on my side.
Oh, okay.
And so I thought, okay, definitely time to quit. And there was this very, very last sentence. I think you said something like, as long as the man doesn't want to mature, there's no real reason to stick to it. And since you said, as long as he doesn't want to, there's still a chance. But because if he wants to, then, or there's a chance that he can mature. So that's why I asked Christoph to contact you. And that's what he did.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. How is that for you, Christoph? How do you hear that? Like what happens for you?
Well, I think Connie did a good summary of the situation. We know that we have communication problems. We know that he's pretty much, very much onto the emotion side, and I'm very much onto the practical side and the fact side. And at the time, I'm hurting her because of that, and this is one of the main reasons, I think. And I said, yeah, that's a good idea. Let's try.
Okay. So do you have too much silence? You have too much arguing? What does this cause you on a day-to-day basis?
I think, yeah, we have every day 1 or 2 fights because of these situations. And yeah, it was getting more and more lately. We actually right now moving together. And because of our past, there are plenty of things that are on the way. And it's as well one of the things that we have to work on with you.
You mean your past has to do with some of what's going on today?
Mm-hmm.
Definitely.
Yeah. Yeah, for me too. I think that happens for all of us. So you've been together how long?
3.5 years.
Okay. Not married?
No.
Okay. Kids?
I have 1 kid from a previous marriage.
Okay. And Connie?
No.
Okay.
No kids, no marriage.
Okay. How old are you both?
36 and 46.
Okay. He's 46.
Yes.
You're 36. Is kids something you want, Connie?
Definitely, yes.
Yeah. Do you want more kids, Christoph?
That's actually one of a big topic in the relationship as well, because I say time is running and he says, let's wait. And I say, okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, actually, just to answer your question, I have to be honest, I was done with kids before knowing Connie.
Yeah.
And, it's actually the fact that I got to know Connie who wanted kids, that I said, yeah, in that kind of relationship with somebody that I love really, it's something that we can do together. Yes.
So you've opened up to it because of the relationship.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay. So when you you have arguments and you have 2 per day, so that's 60 per month, and they are related to some ideas Connie has about maturity. And how does that land for you, Christoph, that it has to do with maturity or laziness, or you see it differently? It doesn't have to do with maturity? So how's that for you, Christoph? What do you think about that idea that it has to do with maturity? Because that's a really big word. It's a big concept. So one of the things I want to understand is what that means.
For me, well, actually, you would have to explain to me exactly what you mean by maturity.
Yeah, that's funny. I just asked you that and you just asked me that. Gosh, you know what me and you were going to do? We're going to like kind of high five each other here and ask Connie what the heck she's talking about. So what is maturity? Why that word? Why did you relate it to my video?
It's actually the word that came up in your video. So because you said he has, or a relationship is, a man can mature, and only if he wants to mature, then it makes sense. And I thought about it, and there are actually some situations where I think, yep, that is the case. It's one big topic, for example, is also the education of his son, where sometimes I have the feeling that there are 2 boys instead of one father, and a matured father and a boy. And there are things that are driving me crazy, and where I don't see, sometimes I have the feeling that Christoph is missing the long-term view. And so I try to give him advice, and what drives him crazy, if he would say right away, Connie, none of your business, it's my son, it's my education, but he says, this is great, Connie, please keep telling me stuff like that, and I didn't see it that way, and you're right. And it really only lasts 2 minutes, and he does the same thing. We just talked 2 minutes before he does again, and that's just driving me crazy.
Okay. So Christoph, you want to hear her honesty, and then she explains things that are bothering her, and you both don't really you don't complete that idea. You don't complete what's happening there. So go ahead. Go ahead.
Sometimes I have the feeling it's more, but that's my inner feeling. It's more blaming about the years that have been up to now, because I have a son which is I don't know how you call it in America, gifted. He is well, his brain is working really well.
Great.
We always had problems with my previous wife with education, because it was very hard. We had to change him from school a lot of time, to go to see a psychologist, blah blah blah. And this whole past actually drained a lot of energy from me. And now it's not that I gave up, but I released a little bit the pressure that I gave for these last 14 years with my son. And maybe I'm wrong doing that, but it is something, so I take it as a blame sometimes when Connie keeps on repeating the same thing, because I have a feeling I didn't do my job as a father up to now.
How does that land for you, Connie, about how he's kind of framing that?
I keep asking him, should I still tell you those things that are crossing my mind or not? And he says, yes, please, but please say it differently. And I asked him how, because I tried to say it nice. Every time I say something, I say, don't take it as a blame, and this is meant in a good way, and tell me to stop if it's getting too far or whatever. And he always encouraged me to do so, but when I do, he's getting mad at me, and that's something that I cannot really handle very well, because it seems unfair to me. And
Okay, so we're talking about a gifted child, and we're talking about education that needs to match it and how that course of history has gone. Why is that bothering you, Connie? Why is his child, and how old's your child?
14.
Still a child. So what is bothering you about his relationship with his son and how he's approaching that? Let's fine tune that. Something's bothering you there.
it's the chances that I see that they just let go, and for me, his son seems sad because of the way things are organized or done, and his son being sad makes Christoph sad, that makes me sad, and so I think I have a good advice or a good idea. I tell him that, and he says, yes, that's great, but he doesn't do it. And that's actually, if we put the education by side, that's exactly the case that happens very often. When I say, we're so stressed, we need some more time for us, our relationship, or to talk, because I have many problems where I need your help, because I just moved to France, I don't speak French yet, and I need his help. And I say, really, because otherwise you make me sad, please be here for me. Let's have 1 hour a day to talk about problems and everything. And he says yes, but he doesn't do it. And it's so that repeats, not in education, only in education, that repeats in our relationship, in planning, in everything. So basically always saying yes to avoid more stress, but not doing it. And that's the next problem, that in the long run, after 3.5 years, I told him again and again, if you keep doing it, I'm losing my trust. I cannot rely on you. I cannot, build on
Okay.
it. I don't feel the security in our
relationship. So will you turn to him and ask him a question? Will you ask him, and will you say, do you respect my ideas?
Do you respect my ideas?
Yeah, true.
Do you feel, and now will you ask him, do you feel like I ask you questions that are clear?
Do you feel like I ask you questions that are clear?
It does.
Okay. Do you think sometimes she asks you a question and her intention is just to really find out something, but you feel like you're being criticized right from the start?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So do you feel criticized at least twice a day in your arguments? If not 25 times?
Yeah.
Okay. So you guys have a little bit of what I call an allergy. You have a pattern that's now kind of coming into where in the way you used to communicate, it probably wasn't so, allergy producing, but now, Christoph, you're probably expecting to be criticized all the time. Mm-hmm. Is that right?
That is right. Yeah.
Okay. Can you let that in, Connie, and just hear that's how he's experiencing it?
Can I what?
Can you kind of step into his shoes for a moment and just feel like that's happening for him?
Absolutely, and I did, and that's why I say that's why I changed my way of approaching. That's why I put my arms around you and look deep into his eyes and say, hey, this is not to hurt you. This is not to blame you. This is a very nice meant advice.
Yeah. So would you turn to him and say one more thing?
Depending on what.
Right. And you don't have to, no matter what I suggest. And you can take anything I say and make it your own words.
Mm-hmm.
So if you could turn to him and say, I criticize you all the time, don't I?
Do I criticize you all the time?
Sometimes I have the feeling.
Say it again.
At least sometimes I have the feeling.
Yeah. Is it at least twice a day?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a lot. Do you understand, Christoph, that she would really like to not do that?
Yeah.
Do you believe that?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It's kind of gotten to the point to where there's just kind of a stuck pattern, isn't there? It just happens over and over, doesn't it?
Yes.
Yeah. Will you tell him I'm sorry?
Yes and no. I'm sorry. So I have to warn you. I'm especially since we are here for a reason. I will be really honest with.
Yeah.
So
I hope.
I'm not shy to say things.
Great.
And, so
when you say I'm
oh.
Go ahead. Well, when I ask you to say I'm sorry, I want you to have that in your mind in a really specific way. I want you to separate your intentions and what you need, right, just for a moment, and things you're trying to get him to do. I want you to pretend almost like he's a stranger you just met and you accidentally hurt his feelings. I want you to understand that your intentions are most likely much more loving. You don't want to make him feel bad. And you're apologizing because that's what he's experiencing over there.
So I'm very sorry. My intentions are not that.
Yeah. So can you look into Christoph's eyes and see that something has changed?
No, he looks sad.
What else? What do you think happened for him?
I think he's happy to hear when I say that I'm sorry for hurting him.
Ask him. Ask him what's going on.
Mixed feelings, actually. Of course, I'm happy that she tells me that you tell me sorry. But at the same time, it's right now I don't see the way to get out of it. So it's two different things.
You want to know a solution and how to have that not happen.
Sure.
Yeah. That's what you just meant, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. But you just softened a little, right? Did it feel a little more safe to just be sitting next to Connie? Do you feel a little more open to hearing what she has to say?
Yeah.
Yeah. Your heads became closer to each other when she did that.
Can I say something? So we had that discussion, I think, just 2 days ago when I said something to him and he told me that he feels blamed and everything. So I basically every time that happens, this is what I'm telling him, that I'm sorry, that I don't want to hurt him, and that it's always meant in a good way. So this happens already.
Yeah. Yeah. It happens. And I hope what we do is slow it down much, much more, because it moves too fast, I'm sure. Go ahead, Connie.
I think the problem, I mean, I'm doing a lot of thinking, and so I thought how we ended up to this point, and I think it's, you know, there were many things happening in the last 2 years. In his life, a little bit more even in my life. And, you know, in the beginning, I call it a mistake. He made a mistake. And so I told him, hey, don't do it again. I'm losing trust. And he did it again. So I lost more trust. And of course, the more you tell your partner, don't do it, and you really hurt me, the higher get your expectation of getting something back that shows you, I'm really sorry, I did a mistake.
Yeah.
And I was completely missing that. So of course I was at some point, so it added up more. And at some point I started to look for some security, for some signs. I gave him hints, like this is very important if you would do that for me, and he didn't do it. And then the next thing I thought, okay, this is too hard for him, even though it's easy. And so I gave him another thing, and in the end it became a huge pile of things. And from my point of view, he kept disappointing me. From his point of view, I'm just asking for more, and it's getting too much, and now he's completely confused, and I'm totally disappointed.
I agree on that. It's your opinion.
You say that again. Would you say that a little bit louder? I want to hear that, yeah. Christoph.
I said it's, as she said, it's her point of view for different things. There are things which are not my point of view, but I agree on that analysis from her.
Okay. If Connie has something she wants from you, and you hear her and don't agree, there's more communication to have for you two to stay in connection. So, or else Connie is left hanging with frustration and feels totally separate from you. So does that happen, Christoph? So Connie approaches you, has a request, you hear it, she approaches you with criticism because that's kind of the pattern that's happening now. So you get criticized, and you also don't want to do the thing she's suggesting. So do you just go away? Do you just kind of keep it to yourself and hope the problem will go away?
Kind of, yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's something for us to talk about, because not coming back to her with what you felt and what you believe about her request is in the same exact category as her criticizing you. Both of you are contributing equally to why you're disconnected from each other, right? And Connie's really feeling this, right? So I just want to point out again how equal you both are. Connie's criticism and Christoph's not doing anything next to come back to talk about it, those are equal things that are part of this pattern. The good news is you can be on the same team about how equally you're both contributing to this mess.
High five.
High five. So what just happened for you, Connie? I know we had a little laughter, but you were feeling very deeply just now.
Yes. um, Thinking about what happened hurts me a lot. And I felt very, very alone, even though we were supposed to be together.
Yeah.
And that's something that I was hoping of this therapy that we can, because he always says, Connie, you always come up with the past and you cannot just let it go. But there were so many deep, deep cuts that were never taken care of.
Yeah.
And worst case, they were even opened up again by behavior. And that's why I keep telling you, it's not that I don't want to forget the past, it's just that there are so deep wounds that they need to be taken care of. And they cannot just be forgotten and saying, you know, we had this, we split up 2 times, I think already, and had big, huge fights. And I pulled myself together because I thought, hey, I really believe in this relationship and he promised me he will take care of it now. And so I took a deep breath and I jumped again in this relationship. And I said, okay, I let it go. And he promised me to take care of me and my wounds, but then it lasts 2 or 3 days and he pulled himself together. And after that, it was gone, just literally gone, nothing anymore.
Yeah.
That's when all the problems started again. And then of course I'm telling him, hey, what I told you, you know, I completely lost trust, which is the worst that can happen in a relationship. And to build up trust is nothing that you can do within 2 or 3 days. You cannot just tell me 3 times that I'm the most beautiful woman for you on earth and I will believe it. This has to be a constant thing. And of course after a while, I don't need to hear it every day anymore, but it takes a while. And so there were situations, because I completely lost self-confidence and everything. I went through deep, deep emotional times. And I told him all of that. And I told him what I need from him. And he said, yeah, but I don't know when. I don't know what to say and what to do. So felt from my side, I did this step again. In those situations, I walked towards him and I told you, now I would need this and that. And instead of giving me that, he got mad at me because I should know that that is the case. And I said, no, I cannot know. That is something that he doesn't understand. Just because he says it once, I tried to explain it just the other day. An appointment, you can say, you have an appointment on Monday, 10 o'clock or 19 o'clock. That's okay. That's something you only need to know once. But trust, love, all the emotions is something that needs to be built, in the long run. And that's not just something, why do we keep saying each other, I love you? Because it's something that you need to hear to be reassured again and again. And that is something that he really doesn't get. And I'm even tired of talking about it to him. And I'm sure he's tired to hear about it.
Yeah. So I understood everything you just said. And the passion in your voice of telling that story is how much you want to connect. So say to Christoph, if you could turn and say one thing to him, if you could say to him, I'm bleeding and I need your help to stop it.
I need you to know that I did that several times already.
Try it now.
Okay. I'm bleeding. I have many, many deep wounds in my heart. And I'm broken. And I need your help.
Yeah. Now keep eye contact. So instead of kind of leaning towards him, just lean back maybe 1 inch, a tiny bit, into your vulnerability, which you're already in, and say, I need your help. I can't solve this myself.
I cannot do this all by myself. I tried very hard. Tried to pull myself together again and again.
Yeah. Yeah. Just let him say nothing. Let him not make promises or try to answer. Just see if in his eyes you believe he at least would love to figure out how to help. Yeah. Separate from all these stories and all the imperfect humans on this phone call, which there are 3, see if you see in his eyes he would love to help.
No, I just see him helpless.
Yeah, he might not know what to do. If he knew what to do you believe he would do it? If he knew what to do you believe he would?
That's unfortunately the thing. I can see that he would love these problems to be solved, but I don't see that he really wants to do it.
You don't see what?
I don't see that he wants to do it.
Let's keep that in the mystery zone for a little bit, because a lot of the things to solve these problems might not be the things you're requesting. It might be the communication about the requesting. I'm going to throw out a concept, which is that I believe 90% of it is about the communication, about the requesting. 10% is about what actually happens in the request, which ones he does. The communication is what brings you back together, not necessarily the choices and decisions. Does that make life a little easier for you, Christoph, if what I'm saying is accurate?
Definitely.
Yeah.
I will say, just to give a little bit of history as well, it is true that the whole thing probably started because I was still living with my wife when I met Connie, and I divorced 2 years ago, and the one example, for example, during the divorce, Connie was not doing good. Definitely, she was having troubles with her family and burnout and different things. I didn't really realize, although she told me she was still living in Germany and I was in France, so there was the distance between us.
But can I slow you down for 1 second?
Sure.
So while you tell your story about your history, which is very important, I want you to know that in the palm of your hands is Connie's heart right now. So it doesn't have to be words, but as you tell your story, just with maybe little glances or feedback, maybe holding her hand, bring her into your story, just with your energy. Okay. So just give her a little quick, are you okay to hear me? Okay. Does it feel loving between you two? Okay. So I just put you kind of on the same musical note as her. right? Okay, so keep, and every 30 to 45 seconds, have one teeny thought about, is she with me? Is Connie listening?
Mhm.
Or have I separated from her heart? So I know where you left off, so keep going on your story. It's important.
Yeah, when the the split went, Connie was not doing good, and I had to take care on my side of the divorce and everything. Take care of my son, of course, taking care as well of my ex-wife, which was, I mean, I've been with her for 18 years,
Mhm.
and I'm not that kind of guy that just say, bye, I'm leaving. It's, and I know that she was not good at all, and so it was something that I had to do, not because she was first to Connie, but just because I had to as well to construct the future, even if I was destroying the marriage.
Yeah.
At that moment, Connie has, Connie is a kind of girl that is not complaining a lot. And when she asks something, she will say it once. And I'm not used to that kind of communication, because she's probably the only one I know doing that.
You mean who's reasonable in the amount of requests? Or
Well, actually, if she says I'm not doing good, she says it once, and she assumes that I got the message, and that I will do everything to cope with it, or to help her, or to do what is necessary to be done. That is one thing. That was just to explain a little bit the
okay.
communication between us. And at the time, she asked me once to come to Germany because she was not doing good, and I said, well, right now I'm taking care of the divorce, so I cannot come.
Okay.
That is just an example of the problem of she thought that my wife was the priority to her problems. But
Okay.
I don't know if you understand the point here. It's just, which was not the case. She was definitely in my heart. She was definitely the first, and she always been.
Okay.
But at that moment, I had things to do for this not easy period of life. And of course, she took it as me not taking care of her and putting my ex-wife first.
Is that happening at all now?
Is for me the question, or for?
Yeah, for you, Christoph. Do you believe your ex-wife is intruding upon your relationship a lot right now?
Actually, well, I'm not doing that, definitely.
Okay. Okay.
No.
Okay.
No.
So in all of the things that have happened between you two, can you ask Connie how big that one is about what you just described? Ask her if that's a big part.
Is that a big part?
It is a it was one of the things that added to the other things.
Okay. Okay. And that's, that's a gentle, check-in with her. We make up stories about what we think is the biggest problem, and, it's important to check it out with the other person, right?
Mm-hmm.
So are you telling the story, Christoph, of this situation because you want Connie to know that it hurt her?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, that's a very short thing that I just said. So tell her.
I know that I hurt you with that. That I had my reasons to do that. I know you don't understand that, but I want you to know that you were first. She was not first. I had to do it.
Which I would have totally understood if there would not have been so many other situations. And this was, as I said, this was not the main thing. It was just one of many things that hurt me very bad. Because it was at that time, the time where I said things once were long gone. And that was the time when we were on video call every night and I was crying every night because I was not doing good. And then I asked you this one time, hey, can you come? So for me, it's actually not true that you didn't know I was not doing good because I was crying every night we were on the phone.
Okay, now it's tender what you're discussing, and the way your pattern between you two works with communication is also right now here with us. Okay, so things have to get slower. Let me give you just a brief description of what just happened. Okay. Christoph explained a shortened version that I suggested about how he hurt your feelings. But while he was explaining it, he was talking about his intentions and made a comment about how Connie might not understand. And Christoph, you started defending your position that you did that. Does that make sense? Okay, so here you are trying to explain something tender about how you hurt Connie, but yet you were protecting the story because you needed to do what you did. So you handed her kind of like the dietetic version of the story, right? You didn't go right to her heart and say, I messed up. I hurt your feelings. Just like when Connie apologized to you for criticizing you, right? That was a just direct, I do this, okay? Now remember, this is 50-50. This pattern happens on both sides. Are you with me, Connie? Mm-hmm. Okay. So Connie heard what you said, but it's very hard to hear it because you were still kind of protecting the story, like you needed to do this. So Connie received it, didn't quite go straight to her heart. She actually began telling you, hey, it's not the biggest part of the story, but you've done all these other things and you did this and you pissed me off and this hurt, and she went into a bigger story about more things that hurt. Now that's true. That's really happening for you, Connie. It's all true. But the communication doesn't ever let it complete. Right? Where you really feel like you get how the other person has affected you. So Connie, in your bigger description of, yeah, but you did this and you did this, and you know, I really needed you. Christoph can't hear it because it's too big of a story still. Does that make sense, Christoph? So it overwhelms him, right? We can only really hear one thing at a time, kind of with precision, right to the heart. Okay? So Christoph, pretend that you hurt Connie's feelings and that you know exactly what you did, about how you weren't quite there for her in relation to, you know, cleaning up your life with your ex, right? Knowing, and all the parts about that you really needed to do that, which are true, put that in a drawer temporarily. Take all those ideas, because you did need to do that. You're a caring man and you needed to take care of a whole bunch of details in that relationship. And take all of that, put it in a drawer, and close the drawer temporarily. Can you do that? And tell Connie exactly what you believe you did in that one story, because there's several stories. You both have several. Try to feel how much that story hurt Connie and tell her what you'd like to about that. If you're able to speak up a little so I can hear, that would be helpful. I know this is kind of weird, but if you could tell her what happened. Tell her how you hurt her.
I know I hurt you very much because I wasn't there. I don't know what effects this will have. I cannot go back. So change it to
My goal is to never hurt you because I love you.
yeah. So,
I want to learn how to do that better. I suck at it often.
I mess it up.
Would you be patient with me for me to learn a few things?
Okay, not too many things at the same time.
What do you think the look on her face means right now? What does the look on Connie's face mean? Were you received?
Yeah, I believe so.
Ask her.
Was I received?
I got your words. I got the intention, if I believe in it. Because I heard those words many times. I heard all those promises many times. And I heard a lot of Instead of, I'm sorry how much I hurt you, I heard a lot of defending yourself again instead of feeling bad for what you did. And that's exactly what I'm missing all the time. I told you many times, instead of taking care of it, you run away, you sit in your corner and cry like a boy, instead of taking the situation and making it better. And that's exactly what I heard again. You didn't say, I'm so sorry for what I did. You just, I don't know, I didn't feel the 100% sorry and that you felt how much you hurt me. I heard your promise, I heard the word sorry, but I didn't feel it. I didn't feel that you felt how much it hurt me.
Okay, so take a moment, Christoph, and work through the part of you that might be sitting in a little bit of criticism. Are you in criticism right now? Or are you feeling stronger than that?
A little bit.
Okay. Okay. So just make eye contact with each other just for a second and know, okay, so that's part of your pattern, you know, Connie telling you and you, Christoph, feeling a little criticized. So just let that be there and know we're not just going to fix that all at once. Let it dissipate. So Connie is kind of agreeing with me that it's about the communication that you go away, Christoph. She gets left hanging at a level that you could probably call abandonment. When you go away, Christoph, and you're kind of, doing what you do, protecting yourself, Connie is left alone in her thoughts and alone in her experience and has to figure it out by herself. So you're actually both in a relationship and completely alone when that happens. So there's a thing that can happen for you, Christoph, if you can find almost a magical, authentic part of getting how much it hurt her. Might not be a lot of words. It's what will make your relationship work or not this moment right now. Knowing what's happening here. Knowing the extent to which you sometimes hurt each other. Yeah.
The problem is that I don't know what kind of words I can find to.
Yeah, I know. Just stay in eye contact with her. It's not the most devastating experience you've given her. Life has things that could be far worse, obviously. So back it off from, the worst possible things that can happen in life. Back it off a few steps. It hurt her really bad to where we've used the word bleeding, little cuts. It makes her feel alone that she can't complete conversations about these things And she's literally jumping up and down in her own mind going, what the hell do I do to feel understood? Totally, completely alone in having to figure that out. She could work with me for 3 hours a week and she would never be able to feel understood because she only needs it from you. So if Christoph, if anything's happening in your mind, like you're trying to figure anything out, just stay with feeling her heart, envisioning it beating inside her if you want to. You don't have to figure words out. You're not on the spot, Christoph. This is a moment for you to take as much time as you want. And if you're with Connie and you know she's hurting in the next week, you can ask if you can lie down with her and just do this and say nothing until you get a feeling of knowing how much you might have hurt her feelings. This is kind of the air and the water that she's been needing. And she has no way to be your coach and tell you how to do this. It's not her job. Christoph, you'd really like to be able to know how to sustain this, right? Yeah. You both might want to be close to each other exactly the same amount. Connie, is his silence okay? So right now in this moment, you believe him. Yeah. It's not about the events, and it's not about every single time you hurt each other's feelings. It's about right now what you're communicating about what happened. it cleans up the past entirely. We actually might stop and not do any thoughts or analysis on this. Are ideas or words coming up that you would like explanation on, or are you both getting it? What I'm, what's happening right now at the level to, that it looks like. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. Should we save an hour for next time?
You're the boss.
Do you kind of get why I'm saying this? Let's not seek out a problem.
Yeah. Not like a chewing gum.
Yeah. There's authentic vulnerability that had just happened for you. It's impossible to fake. So I'll describe a moment, let's say in your near future, where Christoph thinks, oh, all I have to do is lay down with her and make eye contact and I don't have to say anything and we'll magically feel connected again. No.
You have to mean it.
Well, and some words usually have to happen to understand the point. And know that we've just opened the door, but there are still details, your history, what's gone on. And it's okay if things flare up and you fight about it again. These are really big things to change about your personality, how to approach these topics differently. So, a little more time with me and you'll get those conversations worked out.
Sounds super.
That's what we do.
How often do you think we should talk to each other?
Good question. See what this did for your conversations over the next week. Okay? When you see your pattern creeping back in of miscommunication, just don't let that happen for more than 2 or 3 days. Set up a call. You want to get ahead of the curve. Mm-hmm. That could be every week. That could be once every 3 months. But if the pattern of miscommunication is far more powerful in how stuck it is than what we just learned. You got to have more learning like this to overcome the patterns. They're real strong. My own patterns are real strong that want to, make me disconnect from people, right? So just get ahead of the curve. It's not okay. If you keep doing this work with me, it will become not okay, no matter what your conflict is, to be disconnected from each other. That's the goal.
Sounds so good.
Yeah. That's called, I don't know if you've heard the term, that's called being securely attached. Even in conflict, the other person has your back. All right? All right, you guys. Thanks for being so open, and I'll look for your email.